Welcome to CPG Vibes. No scripts,
just chat.
I'm Alex Baer.
And I'm Wade Yenny.
Each episode is recorded live, and we talk all things food and beverage, and so much more.
Feel our vibe and search for CPG Vibes on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and make sure to give us a 5-star review.
If you'd like to sponsor our show with your product or service, email us at cpgvibes100@gmail.com.
Now, let's vibe.
All right, welcome to episode 155 of CPG Vibes. This is our expert series, volume 9, Women in CPG. I think it's our second edition of Women in CPG, but our 9th edition of expert series. Can that sound any more confusing, everyone? Wade, how's it going, buddy?
Good. I just say it's today's episode. That's
it.
All there's too many damn numbers and all sorts. Yeah, it's complicated.
We're already being inundated by numbers in our daily lives. We don't need a bunch of numbers on a kickback podcast episode, right?
Exactly. But I'm looking forward to this. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. I know I don't have as much enthusiasm in my voice because I'm under the weather. I love my kid too much, so I guess you can never love your kid too much, but he was sick, coughing in my face. I got a cold, and I'm like, you know what? It was worth it. It was worth getting sick just to hug my son. So that's why my voice is a little deeper, which I don't mind. But hope everyone is doing well out there. And we're just going to go through kind of a laundry list of items and our sponsors and all that good stuff. And but very, very quickly, just to remind everyone, we're going to be at Expo West. So for those that didn't see that fancy banner in the beginning of the episode, it's going to be Melting Forest, booth 5719, Hall E, and it's going to be on Wednesday. So it's going to be Wednesday from 2 to 4 p.m., Hall E, which is better known as the basement in the main convention center. So Wade and I are going to set up there for 2 hours. We're going to do our show. The no script, just chat definitely comes alive on these live shows. We're not going to have any scripted people. It literally just whoever comes by, we're going to pull them on the show, put a mic in front of them, and we're going to talk. So went really well last year, and I think we'll have a lot of fun this year too.
Yeah. That should be the basement's where all the cool people hang on, right? That's what I was told.
Definitely, especially when we're there.
Yeah.
So yeah, make sure to swing on by. Again, 5719 Melting Forest. We'll make 400,000 announcements from now until then to let you know where to go. Okay, so kind of going into our laundry list of items, and then we're going to be bringing on the Ashleys. This was not on, maybe a little bit on purpose, but it just united this way, where we have Ashley Rogers and we're going to have Ashley Kleckner on, and we'll say where they're from, what they do, but we're going to have 2 Ashleys on, and it's going to be very hard for us to forget their names. So that's one thing we will not screw up on this show. Plus, my wife's name is Ashley. So how about that? So I really cannot forget their names. I will be in trouble if I do. So number 1, we are the number 1 rated CPG podcast in the world. So make sure to keep us that way. Go on our Apple podcast, or you can also go on Spotify. I know we got to get our ratings up a little more on Spotify. So make sure to check out that, whether you use both or one or the other. Make sure to give us 5 stars there to keep us in good standings and our number 1 spot. We also have our CPG Vibes Newswire. So that's now posting 2 to 3 times per week with the latest news and updates from the CPG arena. And we term that no chit chat, just facts. Like that way, instead of no script, just chat, no chit chat,
Sure.
just facts.
That
Works.
Yeah.
So we have our sponsorship and block rates. And by the way, this episode is being sponsored than none other than Powerful Energy. And we're also putting a brand spotlight as a sponsor on Lemonicious. So, and then a little bit about them. Of course, it's funny. I never have any of this stuff ready, man. Like, even though I have it right here in front of me. So here it is. Lemonicious Drink Company. And where real fruit meets extraordinary flavor, founded by husband-wife duo Curtis and Nadine Knight. Lemonicious, I like that name too. Lemonicious crafts premium beverages using Turkish-inspired techniques and locally sourced fruits with a signature hint of lemon. in every bottle. No concentrates, no artificial anything, just farm fresh ingredients, creating a sensorial experience like no other. Available at select retailers across Florida and farmers markets. He's kind of doing the Bilal model, right? I feel like he's going to a lot of farmers markets, getting a lot of people's reactions, a lot of social media. And again, my brain's not working properly because of being a little sick, but you have tried this, right?
No, it's amazing, and it's soon to be international because Robert's going to bring it into Canada, so it's about to go across the border.
It's going to pop. Yep. Let's start Lemonicious. I would say Ontario would be great, and then Montreal, then eventually go over to Vancouver. So they're going to be drinking Lemonicious up there before we know it. So, and again, Powerful Energy Distribution. They are also the sponsor on this episode. Robert Kogan. If you ever want to bring your product into Canada, you're a U.S.-based brand, he's the man to do it. He's been doing it for 18 years, according to his LinkedIn. So he knows anything and everything about how to get a brand, the packaging, if you need to change your packaging, depending on the region, and getting it into Canada. And he has a lot of distribution connections and retailers that love him. So he can immediately slot you into Canada. And it's, well, not immediately, but it takes time, but he can do it. Let's see, what else? Let me just move this over. We have our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@CPG-Vibes. And then we also have our backwall sponsors. So we have Melting Forest, the booth that we're going to be at next week for Expo on Wednesday. We have Dream Makers, which is a company that Jeff Church, the co-founder of Suja, created, which is an accelerator program and also coaching and just really helping entrepreneurs in CPG grow and scale their brands. And then we have Feel Free, the fastest growing energy drink right now in the country. It's crazy. And they're a Kava Kratom shot. So I think, the three people here in California, they probably have seen it in stores. Wade, I don't know if you see it as much out there, but you're hanging out in liquor stores and smoke shops all day, aren't you?
Yes, particularly the smoke shops. Yeah, at least 3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah, I can see you vaping, maybe cherry flavored vape. You're outside in the corner at Expo West, out, smoking it before you go in. So that's a total lie. I've never
no
life. So anyway, so I think that covers everything there, right? Am I missing anything? Sponsorship, cpgvibes100@gmail.com. And also the prize, right? There's going to be a prize today. And the prize is, let's see, it will be a mixed case of Lemonicious. And I don't say this lightly, Wade, and to everyone that's listening and watching, but one of the most phenomenal, if not the most phenomenal juice that I have ever tasted in my life. The Turkish fruit adds this great flavor and aroma to it. It's delicious. It's healthy. It's cold pressed, and anyone and everyone who tries it usually are blown away by it. So you want to win this prize for sure.
Right on.
And also he's going to be at Expo West, right? They're making their debut at Expo West. Lemonicious. So Curtis, please tell us your booth number. I don't have it in the notes here, but he's going to be at a booth and giving away thousands of bottles, I'm sure, of Lemonicious. A couple hundred to me, I'm sure. So, all right. With all that said, we are going to roll right into bringing our guests on. Again, this is our expert series, Women in CPG. And so without further ado, what are their names again? No. So Ashley Rogers, the CEO of Sprinkles CPG. She's also the founder of Shelfmade and also the founder of Spudsy, which was acquired. So congratulations to her on that and the Spudsy team. And we're also bringing on Ashley Kleckner. She's the senior vice president of Terviva, and she was also the chief of staff of sales for Impossible Foods. So welcome to our show.
Welcome.
Hello.
All right. So hope everyone's doing well. When I first saw, and by the way, we're going to go by Ashley R and Ashley K. That's going to be for sanity's sake, so there's no confusion on who we're talking to. So Ashley R, right? Ashley Rogers here on the right. Her background, like you're in what city again?
I'm in Newport Beach.
Your background looks virtual. That's how nice it is. And the
Thank
reason
you.
the reason I knew it wasn't virtual is because I can see the American flag flapping in the wind in the background. So I'm like, that's not virtual. So so you're in a great place. And then Ashley K, you're in the Bay Area, right?
I am. I'm in Half Moon Bay.
Awesome. So first thing we do, it's a tradition on this show, is that we have you both introduce yourselves and your background, and also one thing that majority of people do not know about you, but you want to share on the show live for all of us to know. So I'm going to start. Actually, I'm going to break tradition. I'm going to start on the left this time. So Ashley K, you can go first.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. So I am, let's see here. I'm the Senior Vice President of Sales and Marketing at Terviva. Terviva is a tech ag innovation company. So what that really means is that we've taken a regenerative tree crop, a tree that typically has been used in reforestation and like Ayurvedic medicine, and used our technology to turn it into an agricultural crop, proving that you can take distressed land, heal that land, sink carbon, and then replace incumbent products like traditional oils, proteins, and fuels with a crop that's actually doing good things for the environment. So really excited about what we're doing there. In terms of my background, I've always worked at the intersection of product, sales, marketing, and innovation. So I was on an innovation team at PayPal. I've done a lot of agency marketing work. And then I was on the original go-to-market team that did product marketing and sales for the Impossible Burger, managed the nationwide launch of that product. And then since then, I've just been on an absolute mission to make a positive impact on the world through food. And a fact about me, let's see here. I hadn't really prepared a fact, but I will say most people probably don't know that I live on a farm, and we have a rooster named Jeff, who, if you come and visit, he will sneak up on you and attack you to protect the other hens. So I may have to reconsider allowing him to free range.
That sounds like Jeff Litkowski that's in the audience right now. That sounds like something he would do.
I don't know Jeff personally, that Jeff Litkowski, but we'll see. I don't know. It's not some real energy happening out here.
I see a new kind of branded egg, because you said free range. There could be free range and then vicious free range.
Yeah, angry Jeff eggs. Jeff doesn't lay the eggs. He's just protecting the hens, man.
Exactly.
He's doing his job.
Good intentions, right? All right. And then Ashley Rogers, welcome to our show.
Yes. Hi. Okay, so I'm Ashley Rogers. I started my journey in CPG in 2014. I founded a brand called Buff Bake. It was a protein cookie and nut butter. I got that into mainly like health and fitness distribution. So like GNC, Vitamin Shop, 24-hour fitness. That really taught me everything I know about food and bev. I exited that company in 2018 and started Spudsy in 2018. So Spudsy was a sweet potato puff and fry, more naturally focused, sold in like Whole Foods, Sprouts. Really, Spudsy was everywhere. Kroger, Walmart, everywhere. Yeah. I worked with a group. My investors were a group called Carp Riley. And Carp Riley was invested in Spudsy. So that's kind of how I got into Sprinkles. Carp Riley owns Sprinkles Cupcakes. And now I am the CEO of Sprinkles CPG. So for the last year and a half, I have been creating cupcake flavored chocolates. We make something called a cupcake cup. So think of like a peanut butter cup, but instead of peanut butter inside, it's cupcake frosting and chocolate bars. And yeah, I've basically spun up that idea from them. And today we are in Walmart nationwide, Target nationwide, and we're getting ready to launch in Kroger, Albertsons, and Whole Foods and Costco.
Wow.
So how many SKUs a little bit about my journey.
How many SKUs are there of the cupcakes?
So the cupcake cups, there's 3 SKUs, and then we have 4 chocolate bars. The chocolate bars are only in Walmart. The cupcake cup is like our core item that's really distributed everywhere.
Yeah. And I'll say one other thing too, that because I followed Spudsy for a long time, because we worked with Stage One, right? And you worked with Stage One, and then Stage One also invested in Spudsy as well. When the sweet potato fries came out, that was the most incredible product line extension that I've seen in a long time, because it hasn't been done right, and it was finally done right. So there you go.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, those are probably my favorite, were the fries.
Yep, addictive in a good way. A good addiction. So, Wade, I'm going to hand it to you to hand out the first question here. Let's go.
Wow. There's a lot to start with.
Lot to unpack.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we'll just stay with Ashley. See how I did that? We're going to stay with Ashley, and just talk a little bit about. I think there's so much, with your background and obviously Ashley R. We want to talk as well. Did I get that right? RK. There's too much going on here with our.
Wait, me? You're talking. You're talking to me, right?
Yes. I'm talking to you right now.
Easy to remember.
Yes.
R on the right.
On the right. Okay,
Yes.
there you go. This is good. But I want to talk a little bit about that journey with and compare and contrast a little bit with how you started Spudsy and kind of ramp that up, and what's going on with Sprinkles, because I think it's kind of two different. Obviously, you've got but very competitive categories, right? Both of them, especially the snacks. And how do you compare and contrast what you've done thus far with Sprinkles and how you started with Spudsy and this far?
Yeah. I think, with every brand you're on, it gets a little bit easier every time. So like, I'm grateful for my Buff Bake and my Spudsy experience just because it made it easier going into Sprinkles. You already know the lay of the land with distribution and what distributors to work with. You know what retailers you want to work with and the reasons why you want to work with them. So comparing the two, Sprinkles has been, I would say, an easier journey. One, because I had relationships that I leveraged from Spudsy. And also, Sprinkles is an iconic brand. So Sprinkles has been around for 20 plus years. We have bakeries across the country. Our influencers are like A-list celebrities. So it's been an easier journey, but I think it's been not only because of the brand name, but also because of my experience in running brands prior.
Nice. And just real quick before we go to Ashley K, what would you say is the biggest thing you miss being a founder, if anything?
I love my investors, and they really treat me like a founder in Sprinkles CPG. The idea was handed to me on a piece of paper, so I have acted, I would say, as in the same founder role, being in this position. So there's really not a lot I miss because I feel like I'm doing the thing that I was doing in all of my other brands. I'm really the one that spun it up from idea to finding the manufacturer to nailing the retailers to really doing it all. So I would say, act as a founder, even though I am a CEO.
Nice. It's kind of the best of both worlds, right?
Yeah, it is.
Right. Excellent. So Ashley K, I could probably spend days on this, the impossible piece. I'm really, and you started with the launch and things, but and remind me how long you were there before you left.
I started the year we launched the products, and then I lasted for about a little over 5 years.
Okay, it's great. So I want to talk a little bit about that, because I remember whether you talk about Beyond Impossible when things first started and went, and everyone, it was just the buzz, right? And then it kind of, we know where it's at now. It's a little bit different environment now. Talk about that initial start and the excitement and kind of how you acted, how you reacted with all that was going on and capitalize off the buzz, as far as the start of that brand.
Sure. It was a really exciting time, and the core go-to-market team, including, Pat Brown, the founder, and the scientists that work on the burger, we were really in the trenches. And I remember at one point, we all worked sort of in this bullpen together saying, gosh, can you imagine the impact we can have on the environment if we could get, one of these large QSRs like a Burger King to actually launch this burger? And we were just, pure fantasy. And we made it happen through, a lot of our own grit, but frankly, through the momentum in the consumer world. People were genuinely very excited about what we were doing. And we had this followership that I can't imagine trying to recreate now. A lot of the techniques we used now have been frankly a little overplayed, and you can't even use them anymore. For example, a lot of the influencers we worked with, it's so pay to play now. And at the time, a lot of that was really for people who were just inspired by the ability to make an impact and our ability to engage in telling our story through the restaurant world. a lot of those things we did to create buzz worked really well at the time. The other thing that I'm really proud of is, frankly, our PR and comms team. Rachel and Jessica, if you're listening, they were so bold and fearless. And I don't think I've run across comms people that are that absolutely forward leaning elsewhere. But it was amazing.
How about one thing in your current role that you took from your previous role, as far as whether it's a learning experience or a mistake that you made, or whether you were just in general, something that translated into your current role?
Yeah, I mean, I took 1,000 things from that role. I learned more than anyone can possibly imagine in the intensity of that period. And we were at one point literally like living in a loft in New York, sleeping in bunk beds together. So it was like a whole different vibe. But I think a big part of it now is that as companies transition through different stages, there's always a friction moment between different stages of growth. And Ashley I'm sure that you've experienced this a lot, right? As you begin to change what you need as the company grows, what companies need in terms of processes, systems, tools, culture at one stage isn't the same as what it needs at different stages. And so one of the things that I try to pay really close attention to now is, are you paying attention to the right things? Are you caring about the right things? I think back at some of the things we did at Impossible that probably were high effort, low results. And I would try to keep my eyes out for those now at all times. Like, are we really focusing on the right thing? And you want to be building for scale, because that's where we're going. When you work at a company like Terviva, it is about getting millions of trees in the ground because of the impact that can have on distressed lands and carbon and distressed soils. We've got to get those trees planted, right? But you have to focus on what's ahead of you. And the goal stays the same. But the strategy and how you get there, you have to be more flexible. And so that's a really big lesson learned, is that some of those massive paths and roadmaps, you have to be able to shift those and just say, okay, that was a great PowerPoint. We're not doing it anymore.
Nice.
Yeah.
Ashley anything following up on what Ashley K was just talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like, as you grow, like, things and processes for sure evolve. I mean, that's something that has happened in every business that I have worked in as well.
Excellent.
Makes sense. So yeah, and I just on another note, that the Genius Juice booth back when we were in business in 2019, we were almost across from Impossible, when you really was like the big, maybe I don't, because I know you said Impossible started in 2016, right? 2017, Ashley K.
Around there,
Right
yeah.
around there. Yeah, so it's like a couple years in, but I remember that was like the big year where like it became much more well known, and you made a big splash, and you had a nice booth, and then you were also cooking like on the spot there, like burgers basically.
Yeah.
And I remember one really clever thing that was done in the formulation that you marketed, because you were director of marketing there, was that it was like a beet juice to simulate the blood, right, coming out of the meat, right?
Different product. No.
Different product.
Actually,
Okay,
what's
so
interesting about
tell me
Impossible
what
is
you
we
used in
didn't use
yours.
beet juice.
You did not use beet juice. Okay.
No, they
What were the
actually
ingredients?
they actually used a fermentation process, and the key to what makes meat taste like meat, that metallic flavor you get, is actually related to blood in the meat. And that blood, that hemoglobin, actually reacts with different sugars and chemicals. It's basically cooking, right? But we don't want to use any of that type of product in the Impossible Burger, but that's what makes it taste like meat. So what they actually were doing at Impossible, and I think are still doing now, is they were using fermentation to take that molecule from plants, from the root nodules of plants that actually are nitrogen fixing. In the roots of these plants, it's doing the same basic function of moving nutrients in the bloodstream. They do that in plants in tiny, tiny cells, right? Just not the same as the way we do it in the human body. So they were using traditional fermentation to replicate and make lots of it. So essentially, under a microscope, it looked the same as what you find in a cow's body, but you found it from plants. And so that was actually the red element. And what was really interesting is it was really red raw. And just like in animal meat, when you cook it, the heat created change that actually created a color change. And that wasn't like hand wavy. That was really the same chemical reaction that happens when you cook meat. So it was really fascinating. And some of that crazy factor, some of that, which people are just like, I'm sorry, wait, how does this work? that was one of the things that we really played off of. We didn't shy away from the weird factor. And I don't know if that plays well anymore, but at the time it got us a lot of attention.
Right. So yeah, that really, really fascinating. So I didn't know that. And so, well, shifting gears more to the industry, right? There's no denial that women have become more involved, whether running companies, having C-level roles, directors. Like, it's been more and more prominent as we're going on, as it should be. What have you noticed in the last, let's say, 8 to 10 years, right, as far as that progression, and how is it becoming more inclusive for women in CPG? And like, what are some signs of that, if that you're seeing, or has it not changed in the last few years and it's still kind of the same? So tell us your opinion. I'm going to switch it back to Ashley R here. What is your opinion on like what's been happening in the industry relating to women?
Yeah, I don't really know if I pay attention to this stuff. Like being a woman, because like I walk into a room and I never think of myself like less than men. So like this isn't something that I even pay attention to like at all, to be fully transparent. Yeah, I don't know. I think we're past those years and stages where I mean, I'm going to get the same job as you or any other man's going to get, is kind of the way that I look at things. And I've always looked at things that way.
Yep. And Ashley K, what do you think?
I agree. And also I've had plenty of experiences that would tell me otherwise. I've definitely had the cliche experiences early in my career where I walk into a room and I write something on the board. And I've literally had, the men in the room say like, oh, I don't think that's right. Erase it and rewrite essentially the exact same thing in slightly different words and then take credit for it. Like I've had those things you think that doesn't really happen. That's insane. It's definitely happened. So I used to get a lot of that. I think people are not so overt now. I also work with some really amazing powerhouse women who are generations older than I am. And it's interesting to hear their perspectives because I think, similar to Ashley R, you don't really see it that closely, right? And I'm lucky in that I work in a world where I'm respected for what I do and for how I do it. So that's really great. I mean, one of the things that when I'm invited to panels about women in leadership and things, that the one soapbox I tend to get on, honestly, and we'll see how this plays, is actually paternity rights. I have 2 little kids and I find it shocking how we are supposed to have this conversation around treating women really well. And we are so disrespectful when men take paternity leave. I'm not going to say like maternity leave didn't help my career, but I wouldn't say that it was like a hand grenade. I have actually seen men take paternity leave for like 6 weeks, not incredibly long amounts of time, and have their jobs replaced while they're gone, or just treated like, God, what are they doing? They're not focused. And I think that is really unfair. And if we are expected to be all doing things together, that's not just in the office, that's at home. And so I think that we need to get, male paternity leave is really, really matters. That's part of equality and rights. So that's something I've personally seen and been always a little upset by.
Interesting. Yeah. I think I definitely agree with both you, and then also what Ashley R said. I feel like I've been in the business for 10 years and it seems like you don't really think about it as much anymore, which is a good thing. It just means that we're on the same playing field and we're all doing the same thing, trying to succeed and grow our businesses, grow our career, grow our brands. So it's actually a good place to be in. And I also feel that CPG, at least from my vantage point, has become even more inclusive, like in the last 5 years, right? The one thing that statistics don't lie that I think needs improvement is more funding for women. I feel that way, because you read the numbers, right? There's a lot of you can kind of think us whatever your opinion is, but the numbers don't lie that the percentage of women in business, percentage of men, they're getting more funding than women. And so that's, I think, something that is progressing and getting better. And the way that I feel that it's getting better and I see is that there are women-led VC groups now. And then they're, investing, putting that and tipping the scales and investing more in women, right, that are creating businesses. But I will say, though, that they're getting more funding now than 5 years ago or 10 years ago. So it's heading in the right direction. So, yeah. So Wade, what else do we got?
I was going to ask Ashley, or actually both of you, to talk a little bit about mentors, and or someone you look up to in the space, past or present, someone that has influenced your career, and or you're looking as you're working your daily routine and whatnot. Someone, again, past or present, that's influenced you positively, and male or female, throw it out the window. Ashley,
Yeah.
we'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, one, my dad is probably my biggest mentor because, I mean, he was an entrepreneur and I feel like he instilled that within me. Like I grew up raised by an entrepreneur. I saw my dad build everything that he has from scratch, and I always wanted to do that. So he's probably my biggest mentor. My others are like my employees. Some of my team members I've worked with for over 5 years, and I feel like they make me better every single day. And I'm very clear on what my magic and my superpower is. Like I will spin up an idea and get it to market and create and sell, but I'm not like the operational finance person. So I think having those people around you that could pick up your weaknesses is really important. And to me, they're like my mentors because they teach me and they make me better and they level me up. So my dad and my team.
I think what I love that answer. I think one of the things, several things I like about it. First of all, my father had his own business, and and certainly he's passed away, but certainly influenced the person that I am much the same way. You see your father putting in so much work and effort and blood, sweat, and tears, and you can't help but be inspired. And well, you kind of have to be because he's going to hold you accountable for it. But the other thing I like about what you said with regards to your team is I think it's foundational, just a very wise area that you recognize your strengths, and you support yourself with people that you're not necessarily your weaknesses, but areas that you're not as strong in, right? That you need that
Mhm.
support, and you have those people to lift you up in those areas, so that you can focus on your strength, and your team can support you, and then capitalize off that. So, Ashley K, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I learn from people all the time at every level around me and different things. And sometimes I learn really great things. And sometimes I look at other folks I work with and think, that's probably not an approach I'm going to take. I'm glad I learned that from them. In terms of some mentors that have really just leaned into mentoring and learning from is, I work with some amazing people right now who have just years of wisdom in their approach. And, at Terviva, we've got a couple of folks on the executive team who I frequently go to for counsel. Maggie Cavaleras, our general counsel, our CFO, Margaret, is fabulous. And in terms of other, industry folks, I had Dan Green, who I worked with at Impossible, was our leader during COVID. And he was really great he was a Navy fighter pilot, and he was very good at bringing together teams and creating discipline with love and kindness. And that it was really cool. Now he actually works at a company called Radical Candor, which is very cool. And then I think our PR team, I mentioned Rachel Conrad and, Jessica Applegren earlier, and they were so bold. And I found that very inspiring for me.
Nice. I like
Cool.
that. Lots of comments coming in here, Alex. I think you put some of them up there.
Yeah, I'm just kind of throwing them up as they come in. Yeah, no, I mean, mentors are everything, and just I can count that how mentors handle when you do something that not so much wrong, but something that's a mistake, and how they handle that and how they treat you, I think makes a true mentor. Because there are people that I really mentors, and then when I made a mistake, they make you feel kind of bad, like the energy's not good, and they're being too critical on you. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to have you as a mentor anymore. I don't like being around you anymore. The energy's not good. So yeah, where we are today is really partly the result of the people in our lives that have helped guided us and given us
100%.
advice and helped us, if we made a mistake, pick us back up and support us. And there was a poster that I read the other day, and of course it's in Venice, right? Where else would this poster be? That said, you know who your true friends and mentors are. In the dark, no, mentors or friends are like stars, because when it's the darkest in your life, you see them, right? You see the stars, right? That really stuck with me. So where we are today is from our journey and the people along the way that have taught us. So going forward to now passing that knowledge on, right? How are you both getting involved in the community and helping others and guiding them? So I'm going to start with Ashley R on this. I know you have a project, right? And you have a company that we just lost her. Okay.
Nope, she did not want to answer that question.
She did not want to answer that. So we'll get her back on. I was about to ask her about Shelfmade, and then she left. So this is my screen froze. There she is. Let me bring her back in.
Now we're really confused because Ashley R is on the left.
Oh yeah, we're just spicing it up.
Yeah.
There we go. I just moved it. Moved it back. All right. So because it's gonna be it's gonna be a train wreck for Wade. So no worries. So the question that I was getting to, I don't know how much you heard of it, Ashley.
I didn't hear any of it.
Okay. So we're talking about in moving forward, people that have guided us and helped us along the way. Now we're passing that knowledge on and paying it forward, like the Kevin Spacey movie. Haven't seen that forever, on how to help others. And I think that's a really good segue into Shelfmade and what Shelfmade is. And the reason that I bring this up is because I wholeheartedly believe in what you're doing. And I believe in the network that you're forming and the community. And it is really helping people. Plus, it's super freaking affordable, right? And this is not a sponsorship thing. This is from the heart because I'm an expert on her platform as a community fundraising expert. But she has formed a magical, wonderful community for CPG people called Shelfmade. So make sure to check it out. But Ashley, I'm going to hand the torch to you. Can you tell us what it is, and then also how is it helping the community? And that's the most important part.
Yeah. Yes. Well, one, I'm so excited to have you as an expert in the community.
Thank you.
And the reason why I created Shelfmade is, so this is my 4th brand that I'm on right now. A lot of founders come to me on the day-to-day and they're like, how do I get into retail? How do I find investors? How do I do all these things? And thinking back, I realized how hard it was for me in my first brand because there's not really a clear roadmap of how to do things and how to get into distribution. So what Shelfmade is it's a platform that you could live in where you could talk to other founders who are in the same stage as you. I would say about 90% of our members within the community right now, and we have about 50 members, are super early stage. They have their product created. They may be in a couple retailers, but really they just launched within the last year. So being in the community, you can chat with experts like myself and you, and then we have sales, marketing, logistics, operations experts. You can chat to each other. There's a ton of self-paced courses teaching you how to raise money, how to get into distribution, the ins and outs of Unify and KeHE and working with all these retailers. And then what I think is the most beneficial thing is there's group consulting calls. So 10 plus group consulting calls a month where you can hop on these live Q&As with these experts, ask your questions and leave there with like actionable insights to move yourself forward until the next call. And then we also have like a whole group, little folder of templates. So investor deck templates, sales deck templates, spec sheets, production forms, promo trackers, really everything that you need to build your brand. And that's what Shelfmade is.
Very cool. Yeah. And I know that number of memberships, I know it's still early. You just launched this, right? A couple months ago, right? So you're gaining a lot of steam, getting a lot more members. And then just something I'll throw out there too, both you can talk offline about the marketing side, right? And as far as being an expert, right? That might be a nice synergy there where the two Ashleys can talk offline.
Yeah.
So switching back to Ashley K on the marketing side, right? Because you've been doing this, looking at your LinkedIn, it runs out of space. You have to actually go to the bottom of LinkedIn and click to see all the roles you've had and what you've done, right? A very accomplished LinkedIn resume. It's amazing. And I see marketing a few times in there, many times. So what are kind of the go-to resources that you use for marketing to better understand the category and the industry? And then how much, again, I told you, no script, just chat. How much is AI playing a part in that for you right now?
Well, I'm becoming much more excited about AI. I definitely play with the tools frequently. I think it's a really, really powerful tool to use as a shortcut. It is certainly not a replacement for strategic thinking. I actually don't have any problem with using sort of templates and some of the, business school um, strategic tools, right? When you think about, well, I need to get my head around this project. I need to think about the strategy. Some of those, HBS case studies or some of those things are just really good thought starters. But when it comes to looking at resources, I think marketing changes a lot. And just like any sort of strategic discipline, it comes down to thinking very clearly about what your goal is and what is the purpose of what you're trying to do, and what do people currently think, what do you want them to think, and how do you get them there, and simplifying. I think that we often focus on tactics before we think about why we're doing a certain tactic, and that's something to avoid because it can be a very expensive way to spend a lot of energy. And in terms of resources, you got to get out there and talk to people. You can't just think everything in your own four walls. You need to let people react to what you're doing. That's really important. And get out and get some feedback. I actually recently have been experimenting with an AI tool that does consumer concept research. So basically, it's an AI tool where you can make a sort of concept of a brand and you can ask it questions like, okay, what if I took this brand? You have to be very explicit with it. You can't just say, how do you think this will do? You have to say, from a score from 1 to 10, what is the consumer willingness to pay for this product? It gives you an answer. Okay, what would be the consumer willingness to pay for this product if I substituted this thing in the product for this other thing in the label? And it gives you a great answer. And I found that to be really helpful. You can't live and die by it. Obviously, the tools are just getting better, and you have to make sure that the data it's pulling is really intelligent. The last thing you want is what they call an AI is hallucination. You obviously don't want that when you're thinking about, am I doing concept testing here? And the other thing is, I have seen at some of my larger companies in my past, and I'm not going to name names, but you could look at my LinkedIn, that you have spent tons of, it's called creation space. I have taken the same question and seen somebody spend literally 2 different departments in a company spend millions of dollars on consumer research. And then another team do design thinking, much more scrappy. The cost was to fly out and literally talk to people in rooms and create like rapid prototypes. And they coming up with almost identical answers. And I think for investors and folks, it's really scary to say, hey, yeah, we did a couple focus groups and we used innovation and design thinking, and this is the idea we came up with. When someone else is saying we interviewed and we have survey results from over 30,000 consumers on this specific topic. Obviously, the one with the higher numbers of research behind it, when you're doing like a conjoint analysis or something like that, sounds a lot sexier. But you need to be really cautious about when you deploy those tools. This question was about tools. So both can actually get you to the same answer. But when you use them in the process and using your budget really wisely is, it's a skill set because it's hard to do and you don't want to blow precious money if there's a cheaper way to do it. But sometimes, honestly, you just need like the shiny numbers if your audience is the type of folks that are looking for that. And so you got to know who your audience is. If you're doing it for yourself internally, you may not need a $100,000, $200,000,
Right.
$1 million piece of research.
Exactly. I think that's so important that, it's not always in CPG, like you get what you pay for, right? Like that phrase, which I've grown to really hate, especially in CPG, where sometimes the most expensive option is not going to be the best one for your situation and for your brand. With Spudsy, this is something that I always battle with Ashley R. About when creating a brand, right? Thinking back to those days where you were drawing the little Spudsy guy on a cocktail napkin or something like that. You're like, here's my idea. Here's what I'm going to do. How do you balance? Not saying that's how it happened. I'm making that up. That's how the Genius Guy happened. So when you're looking at creating something and just having that passion for an idea versus you got the data the data and the marketing data, what came into play that was intuition, and this could be good. People could really like it. There's nothing else like this, versus data, marketing. Is there a market opportunity for this product? How did you balance those two things when you were deciding to create your brand Spudsy? And how did that happen? How did that progress?
I mean, I feel like finding a white space and innovation is literally everything. Like, I'm not a big, I would never create a Me Too product. That's not me. So when I created Spudsy, there was no one really creating a sweet potato brand or a sweet potato platform brand. And that's half of what intrigued me so much about Spudsy. Every restaurant in America had sweet potato fries. I knew there was something there with sweet potato that no one had really played into, like cauliflower or chickpea or all these weird vegetables that were trending. So whenever I create something, that's why the cupcake cup exists. Like I said, my investors came to me with a chocolate bar on a piece of paper. And in my head, I'm like, this isn't innovative enough. Like, we can't just be a chocolate bar. Like, we have to invent something that's different. And that's really why the cupcake was born. The cupcake was born out of innovation and finding a white space in the chocolate category and trying to think of something that did not yet exist, which is a peanut butter cup, but with, instead of nut butter, it's filled with cupcake frosting. And that's what sets us apart. And I mean, that's really what's given us the legs to enter almost every single major retailer in the country in just 1 year, was because we had that innovation.
Got it. So it's really a taking the white space, taking something that already a different format of the product that exists, but not in this way with this ingredient, and kind of reinventing an existing category that hasn't really had innovation for a while. That's really how you were thinking about it.
Yes.
Got it. Cool. All right. And then, we're going to be doing our prize pretty soon, but wait, it looks like you're about to say something.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, we were in the we talked a little bit about this before we went on the air, but just, we'd be remiss if we didn't at least touch up on Expo, since we're less than a week away, just days. And Ashley K, before we went on the line, you said you were still deciding whether or not you were going to go. But I'm going to look back to your past experience. And I think Alex mentioned there's people making their debut at Lemonicious, our sponsor this week, is making his debut at Expo. What kind of, from your experience, what are some tricks, some tips, some do's, some don'ts that you would share with the people that are listening now and in the future?
For the Expo specifically?
Yes, specifically to Expo.
Well, I don't suggest you taste every sample available.
Yep.
I think that's a dangerous game to play. I would say try to find time to actually speak to people one-on-one if you can. I find those events a little mentally exhausting. There's so much going on. It's so loud. You're eating such odd food. But yeah, finding some time to talk to people one-on-one and going to some of the actual speaker sessions. And instead of just talking and listening to the speakers, and once the speaker's done, you stand in that line to ask one question, exchange a business card, talk to the people who are there around you. Use it as a cocktail party event and just talk to everyone else. I think can be really interesting. A lot of people there have compelling backgrounds and have a lot to say beyond just the people speaking on the panel. And earlier you said there's a phrase you hated, and I will say my phrase du jour that I'm hating on is let consumers decide. Because I work in the ingredient space right now, and I work for an impact-based product, and I think sustainability is really interesting and something to pay attention to, and I'm very fired up about. And also, the topics are so complex. The idea that a consumer who is so exhausted and has a job and a full-time parent job as well as their paying job and everything going on in the world, and they're trying to not get stuck on Instagram politics. The idea that they're going to pick up your package and understand the dynamics of a complex supply chain. I mean, Ashley, you know a lot about chocolate and certifications for chocolate. The idea that someone's going to understand all that is just insanity to me. So I think when you're there and you're listening to people, have a little bit of your bullshit meter on and just really listen, and be critical and open and curious at the same time. It's a learning opportunity. And I think you're not just there to sell your wares, but there's a lot to be learned. But don't take everyone's statements exactly as face value.
That's some great advice. And Ashley R., I have the same question for you, but I also want you to answer from a strategy standpoint without divulging any trade secrets on your behalf. What are you looking at? What's your team's goal at Expo, or your strategy going into Expo? I mean, as you mentioned, you already have Walmart. You already have so talk about once you answer the question first, but then also talk a little bit strategically. What are you hoping to achieve at Expo?
Yeah, we're launching a new product at Expo, so that's really the big reason for being there this year. And we're going to be in the basement, so our booth is 5630. We're like right in the middle of the floor. We will definitely be in the mix. I'm actually kind of scared for where our booth is because it's like in the herd of areas. But yeah, our big focus is really to get a ton of feedback on this new product that we're launching. And I guess my bit of advice I have to write everything down because like you forget everything. The amount of people you talk to is insane. So I always bring a little notebook. I also bring a stapler. I'll staple the business cards to my notebook and write notes. That's like the strategy that I figured out works best for me when I go to an expo. And yeah, write everything down because you'll forget. Like the amount of people you talk to on the daily is thousands.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that's great advice. And a couple of weeks ago, was it just I don't even remember, Alex. We had Kenny Hausman, who's in the audience right now, who's with Fresh Time, and we had Robert Johnson from New Seasons on and given buyer's perspective on how to prepare for Expo. And I know Robert himself has come out with kind of like a notebook that you can buy. With details like exactly what you're talking about, Ashley, but he kind of has a template, if you will, on how to follow up after Expo and things like that. So fantastic advice. So
yeah, I'll add a couple things here. Don't sleep on audio as well. You can do audio notes, and like it's funny that you watch like some 90s movies, there was like a running joke where like they have a recorder, like note to self, like that kind of thing. Remember those movies, right? Like The Simpsons used to do that.
Pretend like you're a spy the whole time.
Yeah,
walking around and be like, note to self, lemonicious.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
back to AI. I use AI every single day, all day long. It's literally my assistant. Like I call her my assistant, and I mean, I may even try that this year. Maybe do a little notepad on my phone, dump it into AI, and then there's all my notes from the expo.
Beautiful. Yeah, everyone has their own style, and but I can definitely, one thing I'll share as well is that service providers, right? Because founder for 10 years. I'm more on the service provider side this year. I'm on the podcast co-host side a little bit here on one day, but I'm going to be a service provider more so.
My phone, dump it into AI,
and so Wade also is on the service provider side as well. And so two valuable things. Number one, if you go up to a booth and they don't know who you are and you're a service provider and you're trying to get their business or pitch them, don't take a lot of their time unless they're interested and want to talk with you, because they have all these people coming up to your booth. They're primarily there to sell, to find retail category managers and increase their business. So being respectful and very present that, okay, I'm meeting with the founder, make it quick, make it fast, give them the information. Don't give them brochures. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Just give them a business card if they're interested and say, put that in your pocket. We'll talk later, or we can exchange numbers. I'll text you a week after Expo once you're back at home and caught up. Yeah. And then we talked about it last week as well. And I'll say it one more time, relationships. That's another big reason to be at these shows. Yes, you can meet new people, but making sure to stop by all the people that give them a hug, say, hey, how's this? How's that? And continuing to build that relationship, since we don't really see each other in person all that much, unless we're an hour away from each other or something like that. So I'm going to make it a point on my side to visit, not at maybe all of them, but as many as I can, Genius Dreams clients for the last 2 years, and bring a gift of some kind, right? That they'll probably lose, because they have all this stuff at their table, but bring something to show appreciation that even if you're not working with them presently, thank you for working with me in the past, just saying hello, wanted to match, see you in person versus always by email or by video chat. So I think that's important as well. And I'm sure Wade V Driven is going to be doing that. You're going to be going around, not only finding new clients, but also, taking care of your existing relationships. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Prize. CPG is a relationship. I think every category, every business is a relationship business, I feel. So the prize today and our sponsor is Powerful Energy Distribution. The prize is Lemonicious, and he's going to be at booth, what do you say, 5570? I'm trying to.
I've got it here.
Yeah, it's somewhere. I wasn't even close. 3200. Jeez, I need to take some.
I think you named the melting for. I think yourself.
Yeah, I think I was like mixing.
Yeah.
Ashley, ours, Melting Forest into that number. Yeah. Anyway, it's a cluster. 3200 Hall C. Okay, so it's in the main. That's the main hall. Is that third floor? I think it's third floor, right? One of the ballrooms. Anyway, does anyone know? Okay,
I don't.
We don't know. Okay, so 3200 Hall C. You'll find it on your app, your New Hope app. And Lemonicious will be there, and they are also the sponsor. So the prize is going to be a mixed pack of Lemonicious, which you need to win this. You need to win this. So we're going to come up with a question here, a trivia question.
And I think Robert wanted us to make sure we told Hugh that he's already sending you some. So Hugh, let someone else win this, because I think Robert's already hooking you up because you're the grand champion. You're the grand champion of trivia here. So we're going to, okay, so go ahead, Alex.
Yep. All right. So I don't have a question. So, but actually, no, I got one. Okay. I got one. Okay. I just came to my mind. Okay. So what was the, we were talking about Ashley created the brand Spudsy. What was the brand before that she created? What was it called?
Excellent. Well, while we're waiting for that, you watch for answers. I just wanted to throw up the websites one more time for both Ashleys, so I can hear. So Terviva.com, that's T as in Tom, ERV as in Victor, IV as in Victor, A.com, Terviva.com. And then we have Sprinkles, plural, chocolate.com. I encourage you to check those both out. And of course, visit the Sprinkles booth at Expo West next week. And did we get this? Is this the right answer?
It is.
Derek got it.
Oh, I had it. Yep. Derek Gold is the winner. So, Derek, you know the drill. Email cpgvibes100@gmail.com to get hooked up with Lemonicious. And what else, Alex?
Yeah, someone was button mashing like impossible fudge. It was like trying to like answer something quickly to win.
I gotta get off this call so I can go get my hands on some of those Sprinkles chocolate.
Yeah,
excellent.
Email me and I'll send you some.
I need some for my Sprinkles obsessed daughter.
Yes, I will send you a big package. Send me your email address if you could connect us, Alex.
Love it. I will.
Awesome.
Well, thank you, ladies, for being on our show. It was a super insightful. I learned a lot just from this episode, and thanks for sharing your story, the products, and and then for those that are attending Expo, have fun next week. And but yeah, thank you for spending the time with us. And I feel like these are really valuable for the community. So we'll definitely have you back on. So appreciate both Ashleys.
Appreciate it. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys next week at Expo West. Take care, everyone.